Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Club Junkie podcast. Hopefully, you're having a great week. It's again now late in the week. I forgot. Usually, I was used to be Wednesdays. Now I'm Thursdays. Now I'm late in the week. I'm recording actually this morning, Thursday morning, because I literally got back in town last night. Had a great week, but just got back in town from Atlanta. So I'm gonna talk all about that. It was pretty fun. Had a great time. Had a big member trip down to Reynolds Lake, Oconee, and I think I'm pronouncing that right. I'm not, I'm a northern guy. So, but before we get into that, just let you know this episode brought to you by Team Titleist. And if you don't know about Team Titleist, it's basically a community kind of like GolfWRX of just full golf junkies, golf nerds, golf, just people passionate about the game, whether it's equipment and playing or, swing mechanics, whatever. It's just basically a big community of golf people. And Team Titleist, they give you access to opportunities like, prototype ball testing. If you see on social media, people post, the blank white sleeve of golf balls. Those are all Team Titleist members. They get a chance to test, the latest ball before it comes out. But they also get access to special events, limited edition gear from Titleist, and way, way more. So check it out, sign up, and join Team Titleist at www.titleist.com/Team Titleist, all one word. But check it out. It's pretty cool. It's one of those things where getting to test balls and all that is fun, but they offer a whole lot more. So check that out, and it's pretty cool. So anyway, I've literally just got back into town last night. My flight landed at I think my flight landed at 5. By the time I got my bags and got everything and got home, it was almost 8. I think it was 7:30ish. And then I basically got home, because I think my flight left at 5. It landed at 7 something, 7. But like I said, by the time I got my bags, everything, got home, it was late, 8 something. Had a fantasy football draft, and then which I had totally ill prepared for, and then basically went to bed. So it was a good week. So I flew out on Monday. We went down and we had a bunch of 4 GolfWRX members who went down to the Kingdom, TaylorMade's The Kingdom at Reynolds Lake, which is down just outside of Atlanta. And I'd never been there. I've been to the Kingdom out in Carlsbad numerous times, and it is an absolute just mecca of golf. It is just an absolutely beautiful range. The facility out there is just crazy, crazy good. But I'd never been to the one at Reynolds Lake. I've never been to Reynolds Lake, really. I've never really been to, the only time I've been to anywhere around Atlanta was in 2016 when I went to the Masters. So it was kind of exciting to get down there. But yeah, flew in Monday night or Monday afternoon, got there, and like I said, we had 4 GolfWRX members come down. They were basically going to do wedge fittings for the Milled Grind 3 wedges, and it was pretty, like I said, pretty cool. So we flew down Monday, Monday afternoon, get there, get settled in, check into our hotel rooms, all that, and then it was basically dinner with the boys from TaylorMade. So TaylorMade had they had 4 guys down there. I think they had four guys down there. We had 4. Oh no, Tim they had 4. We had 4 members plus myself, so we had 5. So we had 9 people there. Went to dinner. Everybody kind of got introduced, and it's always fun because you basically kind of have free access to ask. You can ask whatever you want. You may not get an answer to all of it. If you ask, what's the 2023 driver, they're probably just going to tell you, wait and see. But it was pretty cool. A lot of great stories. A lot of people. It's very funny how you get in there and you realize that golf is a small world, and people that other people know and have run into and have similar experiences and all that, and it's just a really good it's a really cool small world, and way small world that one of the guys from TaylorMade literally grew up a couple miles from where I live right now. His parents, his mom still lives there. It's one of these things where it's pretty cool to run into these new people you haven't met, see some old faces. But dinner's always awesome. The food was great. We sat there. I think we ordered 2 of every appetizer. But just hung out, maybe had a beverage or 2. But it was cool because you just get to talk golf, and everybody's got different, things they're super passionate about. And, it was just a really good time. So had that. And then, basically hung out in the patio and a little bit longer with some of the guys, chatted it up and talked about whatever. And then it was on to bed. And then the next day was our big day. And Tuesday was a day that we basically got up in the morning, went and got breakfast. And I'll tell you what, if you go to George's at the Ritz-Carlton at Lake Oconee, I'm not going to lie, they had a smoked pork belly hash. Excuse me. That was absolutely unbelievable. It was crazy, crazy good. And I know it's kind of stupid to say like, oh, like it was insanely good. So if you ever go there, go to George's in the morning for breakfast. Definitely order the smoked pork belly hash. It was absolutely wild. So yeah, went and got breakfast. Unfortunately, like a bunch of the guys went down and got breakfast. I had to do a little work, but got that done. And then we basically headed over to the Kingdom at Reynolds Lake, and it was pretty cool. Like I said, I was excited to go to the Kingdom because, like I said, I've been to the one in Carlsbad numerous times. It's absolutely amazing, and it was cool because I wanted to see how this one compared, and it's honestly pretty awesome. it's equally as awesome. I mean, the inside they lack the crazy putter fitting studio. They don't have that yet. If you're the Kingdom in Carlsbad, they've got this wild putting studio with this huge floor that basically can shift and move, and they can adjust it so you can hit uphill or downhill putts, right to left breakers, left to right. I mean, just it's pretty wild. And it's got a Quintec system in there and stuff like that, or I believe it's Quintec. And Reynolds Lake doesn't have the putting thing, but they do have. Their range is definitely bigger. They have two of the old TaylorMade tour trucks, the trailers up on a hill on the side of the range, which I think both of them they actually used to build clubs. Like one of the guys in the group had a club like built right on there. I mean, and it took them like 10 minutes. It was like done. But they have guys in there who, I mean, built clubs for tour pros. They are like, this isn't just some random high school kid in there putting your club together. Like these are some of the best in the world. But the Kingdom at Reynolds Lake is just bigger overall. I mean, it's just got more space. The range is massive, which the Kingdom's range is absolutely beautiful. It's great. It's just a little more compact. I mean, it's in Carlsbad. It's in a kind of in a city, and it's a little smaller. It's a little more confined. This is just huge, and then it looks out. The range is actually two-sided. When you look down, it's the range for the Oconee course. So it was kind of cool that you could see like other people teeing off or like hitting balls towards you. You were hitting balls towards them. It was pretty cool. But the place is awesome. It's just super, super special. I mean, they had all the tents set up. And we basically were going to kind of fight the weather a little bit when we got there. The whole Hurricane Ida thing was, moving up and over. So it was one of those, we just kind of had to kind of play it and see how it worked. But we basically got there. The guys got in, kind of walked around a little bit, got a little feel of the lay of the land. And then we went to the conference room and basically got the whole education on the Milled Grind 3 wedges, which fortunately, this was my second time getting it because I got it when we were in Bandon Dunes as well. But it was pretty cool to see these guys go through and ask some pretty insane questions. And that's the cool thing about GolfWRX members is that it's not just like, questions about like, hey, do you just offer a loft? It's like getting into, showing bounces and different soles and why they did them and asking questions and knowing their game a little bit and how that may work. And some just like really, I mean, in-depth conversations that I don't think even the guys from TaylorMade kind of expect, and then they get it and it just starts rolling. So went through all the Milled Grind tech, all that, did a whole presentation on it. Excuse me, again, like I said, early morning, and it was great. I mean, it was one of those things where I think people get, and especially GolfWRX members and stuff, you get that insight on how this stuff was designed. Greg Cesario from TaylorMade, who was instrumental in designing these wedges, was the guy presenting, and I mean, he was just getting into all the details, but kind of as quickly as possible because we knew we kind of had limited time with rain and all that, so he wasn't going wild. But I mean, getting into a lot of the stuff that that made these things different than the previous gen, and what they've learned from the previous MG2 and put it into MG3, and it was just it it was a pretty cool presentation. So I mean, even I was sitting there kind of, kind of impressed. And like I said, I'd already gone through the whole presentation just months earlier. So we got that done with that, and then it was absolutely time to hit the range. So they had set up basically a one side for fittings, and Greg himself was actually doing the fittings for all the members, which was pretty crazy because I mean Greg works with I mean he works with the TaylorMade tour staff. I mean he works with the guys who on tour, the biggest names. I mean he works with all those guys, and to get to be fit by him is pretty special. So it was basically we had a tent set up on the left side where Greg had a whole bag full of wedges and a TrackMan and all that. And then we had a couple tents set up on the right with just clubs, TrackMan, whole fitting thing. I mean, anything you wanted to hit. If you wanted to kind of, hit Sim 2, Sim 2 drivers on there and kind of get dialed in, whatever. And we had, access to irons. I mean, you name it, it was on the range. So it was pretty fun. I mean, the guys there, while you weren't getting fit, I'm pretty sure that these guys were hitting hundreds of golf balls. We sat there, one of the guys from TaylorMade, we sat there and just said, we like looked at each other and like, these guys are going to be burned out. Like they are going to be toast from all the balls that they were hitting. I mean, they were just hitting everything, and they were just walking back, grabbing clubs off the rack or off the racks, off home racks or bags or whatever, and just hitting everything that they could get their hands on, and everything out there was pretty legit. There was, all the fairway woods, a ton of the hybrids had, like graphite design DI stuff in it. The fairway woods, the same thing. I mean, you had, XCs. I mean, you had Ventus, Ventus Velo cores. You had, I mean, you name it. There was a ton of stuff out there that was all crazy, custom built. Like it wasn't just stock stuff sitting out there. So, it was fun to just sit there and hit balls. I hit a few, and honestly on the range I was striping it. I was absolutely striping it. So it was kind of fun. And then, but for the fitting side of it, I mean, Greg's unbelievable. I didn't even get a fitting. Unfortunately, I was kind of slated if there was time. I was going to kind of sneak in and hit some wedges with him. But with the weather and kind of cutting us short a little bit, I graciously gave him my spot. But it was pretty cool to watch him work, though. I mean, to get in there, start talking to these guys, kind of asking, what they play, how they play, what wedges are in their bag, strengths, weaknesses, whatever, and then, getting into just hitting some shots with their wedges, getting a baseline, and kind of feeling out, seeing how they swing, how they deliver the club to the ball. And he was just, insane. I mean, it was crazy to watch him work. I mean, he's watching these guys hit balls and telling them different shots to hit, and hit into this one green, and like I said, flight it low, hit it high, do all these things, just asking them to hit these shots. And then they started getting into the milled grind threes and seeing how certain soles, certain bounces, whatever work for their game, and gave a few kind of swing tips and swing thoughts to a couple guys, but realistic, really he was just working with here's what you bring, let's work with it, let's find the wedge that fits you the best. And being able to sit there off a real range, real grass, and have a whole staff bag full of wedges with every bounce and every loft in there was just really awesome. So did some they did some hitting some different shots, did a little gapping, hitting some full shots, all that, getting kind of distances and all that dialed in. And then you jump in a golf cart, Greg would grab like kind of 3 wedges that were really working, or a handful of wedges that that were working or had promise, and then we jump in a cart, drive down to this little short game area, which is massive. I mean, there's like a couple tees you can hit over a creek onto a green, and then there's a separate green that's got a huge bunker, and you can basically hit anything from just off the green back to probably 40 or 50 yards, and it's all fairway mown. There's a little bit of rough on one side, but I mean you can hit basically any shot. Like I said, big bunker, just an awesome place. So then you go down to the short game area, and Greg would take you back, and I think they were kind of hitting like 20 yard, 20 yard pitch shots to different flags. And the same thing, just trying to get a feel for those little shots. And like I said, they were pretty tight lies. I mean, that was a pretty tightly mown fairway cut. but just hitting little shots. And again, the same thing, hitting them a little higher, hitting them a little lower, trying to, kind of trying to just hit different shots that each player, hits in real life on the course. And, just switching through different wedges and seeing how that bounce kind of interacts with the turf, and then jumping into the bunker and hitting different bunker shots, and, seeing again how the different soles work with their swing. And, it's funny because those guys, and anybody, if you've ever gone to a fitting, and especially a fitting with a guy like Greg, who's very, it's kind of once in a lifetime. It really is. And you do get a little nervous, and you're watching guys who are scratch players or, 2 handicaps, whatever, and they're hitting poor shots, and you can tell, like, I'm just a little bit nervous because they're trying to be perfect because they want this guy to see, really good swings and all that. And it's just like, just calm down, just hit your shots and play your game, because, there are going to be bad shots. And honestly, hitting some shots that weren't necessarily perfect are great for that fitting as well, because you can see how those react and those play as well. But it was really cool to kind of watch him go down and like, dude, the enthusiasm he has for working with just average golfers. And again, I mean, I think I was one of the highest handicaps in the round at a 9.5. But just working with, amateur golfers and good, but they're good players, and just, the enthusiasm he had to, like, getting wedges in their hand and seeing them hit shots and seeing them hit better shots and seeing them see results from, hey, hit this shot, and then they pull it off, and just going like, man, see, like, this is what, see, this is how the wedge, the wedge worked, and this is how the bounce worked. And, seeing his face light up along with, the member, because things were just working. It was pretty cool to watch. And I was just there kind of taking photos and videos. And if you saw anything on GolfWRX's Instagram account or Facebook, that was me posting all those things, and the same thing in the forum. But it was just really, really cool to watch. So you go down the short game area, hit a bunch of different shots there, and then, you basically got to, the end result of, like, and then I think, talked a little bit about shafts and what went in there. And then basically, that was it. But it was like each guy was basically doing wedges for, I mean, I think we slated like 35 minutes or something like that, and I'm pretty sure each guy went over that. One member, I mean, unfortunately, one guy, the rain did come in, and it kind of got us a little bit, and he was cut short a little bit on time, or not even cut short, just kind of rushed of, he didn't quite have as long at each station. But again, even talking to him, he was like, honestly, he was like, it was still great. And he's like, even going down to the short game area and not getting as much, he's like, it didn't matter. I think he's like, we had it pretty much dialed in before we even went down. And he's like, I was pretty comfortable with what we had going there for his game. But, all the guys, I mean, it was just amazing how, he would kind of watch just a couple swings and then say, like, hey, here's how you deliver it. You're really shallow. You're steep. And then kind of getting those wedges and working into what worked and what didn't. And every member that I talked to was just crazy impressed with how awesome that wedge fitting was. And most of them had never had a wedge fitting before. I mean, they'd maybe hit some wedges, different ones on the range or whatever, but never had a full-blown wedge fitting. And everybody was just, kind of crazy impressed with, one, how fun that was, and how insightful and everything that was. So it was pretty cool to watch. And like I said, every one of those guys was just pounding balls in the range. I mean, I don't know how many we went through, but like TaylorMade has, it's kind of a den caddy, but it's almost like 3 times the size, full of TP5 and TP5Xs in there. And I'm pretty sure that they burned through the whole thing. Like, the whole thing was empty. It had maybe like 10 balls left in it by the time we were done. And that was just, I think there might have been 2 of those on the range, and they were gone. But it was cool. It was awesome, like, for me to see too, because you had a bunch of guys who, I think, we had a guy who was scratch, and then, I think 2 guys who were kind of 2 handicaps, and then a 7 were the 4 guys who went. And just watching everybody hit on the range, and everybody's delivery and everybody's swing is so different, but everybody's hitting, like, really good shots. And it was just like, man, it was kind of cool to see. But the range at Reynolds Lake, absolutely insane. The Kingdom there is really, really good. Like I said, the only thing that they didn't really have is that putting studio, but they do have the 2 tour trucks up on the hill, and it was kind of cool. I went in those. Again, one of the small world, one of the guys in there building, Michigan guy. So talking about, and he lives actually, or originally is from very close to, like, my grandmother, where she lives. So it was like kind of funny at that he actually lives right near where my grandfather used to manage the Lenawee Country Club. He was the manager there for years when I was young, and this guy lives right near there, so it was pretty funny. He's played it a lot and all that, so it's a small world. It's really fun to meet these guys and new people. But then so we got done with the fittings. Everybody kind of got written up, and then we basically went and got lunch. We were originally supposed to go play golf like right after that, but the rain kind of came in, so we basically said, let's just go eat lunch. Well, the rain should pass, and then we should be clear for most of the day. So we went, ate lunch, and then basically headed to the course. So before we get into some course talk, just want to let you know, speaking about fittings, but Club Champion, they're calling all levels a golfer. Get a tour level club fitting no matter your skill level at Club Champion. With more than 85 stores nationwide, it's never been easier to lower your scores through perfectly fitted custom equipment. Book now at clubchampiongolf.com. But yeah, so then we rolled on to play golf. And we got to basically play. We were playing the Oconee course at Reynolds. Reynolds has like 6 courses, I think it is, 5 or 6, and we played Oconee, and it was an absolute gem of a course. It reminded me a lot of northern Michigan. A lot of tree-lined fairways. Not quite as dense woods as if you're playing in northern Michigan, but still just tree-lined fairways. Everything looks like, it's all like tall pines and stuff. And even if holes were close together, you don't feel it. Like everything feels like it's super spaced out. You feel like you're kind of alone on the course on that hole. And it was really a fun day. I actually hit driver pretty well. I didn't play great. We kind of played in threesomes. So it was, pretty much everybody had a guy from TaylorMade and then like a WRX guy or two. And it was, we kind of put together a little, it was threesomes. So it was best ball, 2 balls. So we basically took the 2 best scores from the group and played those. And it was pretty fun. We had a good time. It was like I said, that course really fun. It's totally different grass than up here. Like I don't know. I mean the greens alone are different because they're Bermuda, I believe, and the grain plays into it. Where up back home back here, you don't really have to worry about that with bent grass. I mean it doesn't worry about the grain as much. There the grain definitely played into it, and also they were fast, but they weren't as crazy fast as I thought they were going to be. When you got up to greens, you would hit them, they'd be really firm. I mean, your ball marks would be very minimal. Even, really high shots would leave pretty minimal ball mark. And, the greens had some huge undulation, but the break wasn't quite as severe, which I guess is just due to the grass, the way that grain is, the way it grows, it kind of holds it up on some of those. So it took a couple holes to get used to that. But overall, I mean, I think I putted really well. Unfortunately, I think I made like 5, say 10 footers or 8 footers, whatever, between 6 and 10 footers. But they were unfortunately for pars and bogeys. But I made a ton of those. Had to be 65 footer, or 50 footer off the green. I basically, on the longest par 3, the course actually, we played it at 6,800 yards. And to be honest, it didn't feel that long. There was only a couple holes that you really felt like, wow, this is a long hole. And really, the longest par 4 or par 3 was 202, and it was a little downhill. But I hit a bad shot. I didn't hit one well. Knocked it into the bunker on the short right, the greenside bunker, and then my swing path out of the bunkers was just awful. Caught a bunch of ball went to the other side of the green, so I was off on the fringe. And it was probably 50 feet, and just trying to get it close. Putted, it felt like it took forever. It felt like it took 30 seconds for the ball to kind of go. Broke to the right probably, probably 4 feet. And just slowly kept going, dropped in. So I made a very, very unconventional par there to save par. But I putted really well. And overall, I hit driver really, other than really, I think 2 holes, I hit driver really well. I mean, I played decent. My short game was just not there. My wedge game was not there, and I'm not blaming the MG3s because it was just me. And I figured out at the very end, I hit into a few bunkers, and typically bunker play for me is kind of one of my strong suits. And I was coming like over the top so bad, and my club path was so out to in, and I was just catching the ball first, and I hit it into a lip, but then I'd hit a good one out. I mean, it was just one of those. My short game was just everywhere, and it was that was my downfall there. If you took my actual play, like I actually played pretty well. I think I shot 80. I shot 87. No, I shot 89. Sorry, went 42, 47. And the 42 on the front was pretty just boring, just going all playing. And then I kind of just, like I said, I blew up an 18. I hit a great drive, hit a good second shot. I just left it in the bunker, and then my bunker play just killed me. And the same thing on a couple other holes that I hit, either good drives or whatever, and then just totally blew up on right around the green. But overall, the course is super nice. We played it from they label the tees 1 through 5. And we basically played it at the 2, so the second one up, which was, like I said, it was 6,800 yards, but it wasn't that, like, it didn't play that long. I mean, every par 4, if you hit a good drive, you had, a 6-iron, 8-iron, like you had something like that into the green. There was nothing. The only one that felt like it was super long was 18. I hit a pretty good drive. I didn't hit it great, but I hit a good, decent enough. You actually tee off on one side of the lake, and you hit it across this little finger of the lake. You hit it across onto the fairway, and I hit it decent, but I didn't hit it, hit it amazing. And I didn't quite get to the fairway because I cut the corner a little farther left than I planned on, and I had like 2.0, I want to say like 2.05 into the green, and that was like the longest second shot for a par 4 that I had. I mean, all day. I hit like 2 or 3 bad or not bad, but drives in the rough that I had to punch it out. But other than that, I mean, I never really had a crazy long shot into the green. And like I said, if you hit a good drive, you were pretty much that. You were pretty much driver, mid to short iron into every green. But it was nice, playing around here like today when I go play my league. You hit a good shot on a par 4, and it's driver wedge, or it's even hybrid wedge. And here, I mean, you definitely hit driver, and you were hitting a little more iron than that. Like I said, you were hitting an 8-iron, 7-iron, something like that into the green, which is kind of fun. And honestly, I hit some good shots that really, into some greens and stuff like that I hadn't hit in a while, which was kind of nice. But the course itself was just absolutely beautiful. It was super fun. I think it was on like 16. I had a good drive. It was, par 4, I hit a good drive. I had like I think I had 185 or something like that. I hit a great 5-iron to like, 12 feet, and just missed the putt and made a par there. I mean, it was just stuff like that was pretty fun that I haven't played that way in a while. But course wise, beautiful. The Oakney course, absolutely beautiful. All the holes, had a blast playing them. I mean, every hole you walked down in the tee box, you looked down, and it was just inviting in a sense. Like, there was no holes that you just said, oh my God, like you can't hit it anywhere because it was so tight, or there were bunkers everywhere. I mean, there were bunkers, but I mean, everything there was super playable. If you hit it decent, you had a shot at the green. And it was just it was one of the courses that was really fun. It reminded me of playing up north, back home. But we went out there and played, and it was great. I mean, we had a great time, and it was really fun. I kind of wish we would have had more time to play some of the other courses there, just because they looked awesome. But the Oakney course, we had a blast at. It was really fun. But like I said, the grass is way different. The rough is like, it's almost like at home, it's all bent grass, so it's just kind of long, scraggly, and the ball just falls in, and you're in the rough. In this, it was like, it's almost like the grass is like a little canopy. It's like it has the roots come up, and then the grass is green, and the ball can sometimes sit up, and it'll be sitting up, or it can sometimes fall into it. And when it falls into it, it doesn't seem like it's really like, the grass seems kind of soft or whatever, but it does grab the club. And it was, in the rough, it really depended on the lie, on how well you could get it out of there. And if you hit it in the rough on like a par 5, I mean, unless it really sat up and you got a great bounce, 3-wood was pretty much no option for me. It was, take an iron, knock it out down the fairway, and then wedge it on and try to make par or birdie. So it was, but it was a great course. Like I said, it was immaculate. I mean, there was nothing, nothing out of place. I mean, pretty much 0 ball marks on any greens. All the divots, it seemed like everybody was replacing them or putting sand in there. and it was a great time. So we had fun there. Like I said, the back nine was a little bit of a struggle, and I don't know if it was just from heat or what, but it was great. So we played there, and then after that went and had dinner again, and again it was one of those, had dinner. It was Greg pulled out had some limited edition hat that he only had one of, and he did a little trivia with the guys and to figure out who won it, and it was pretty funny to some of the questions he was asking that were just, like who was the first guy to win with, who was the first player to win with a high toe wedge, or who was the first player to win a major with a high toe wedge, and how many majors have high toe wedges won, and all this stuff. It was pretty fun. We had a good time at dinner like you always do, and then same thing, went out and in the evening went and hung out in one of the lounges and just talked about golf and whatever with a bunch of the guys, and then Wednesday morning we headed over to East Lake. So the boys at TaylorMade were gracious enough to show these members get on the tour truck, or go to East Lake first. I mean, you get to go to East Lake, watch the Pro-Am if you wanted, or the practice round, follow some guys around. But basically we got to go on the tour truck, and if you've never seen TaylorMade's tour van or tour truck, it is insane. It is 2 stories high, and it is just awesome. So we got to go in there, and Wade Lyles, who's the crazy bearded guy that you've probably seen on some of TaylorMade social and stuff like that, who kind of runs that whole van, was gracious enough to give everybody kind of a tour, let them open some drawers, go through some stuff, see some wild shafts, some crazy heads. It was pretty cool. So excuse me. It was I've been on that truck a handful of times. There's actually a video of me and when Johnny Wonder was around, and him and I doing little skits on there. But it's a blast, getting to see that place and hang out. And it's just an insane truck. So what it is it's a semi-trailer, and then it's got a second story that raises up. And the second story itself, for the most part, is just a really high ceiling, but it makes the truck feel 1,000 times bigger. And then in the front of it is an actual kind of lounge area, which this time, I've been up there before, and it's got some seating and all that stuff. It had TV screens, and it was actually kind of stripped bare, and they're redoing it. They've got a new idea of what they're going to do with it, and it was kind of stripped bare at the moment, so not in use at the moment. But I've been up there before, and it's pretty cool. So yeah, they took them through everything, there. Like I said, let them kind of dig through drawers and check everything out. We get to see how they changed out some of the faces, and having a drawer full of here's the face Dustin Johnson uses on his putter. Here's the face that Sergio likes. Here's the one, and just going through all that stuff that you just the tour stuff that's just crazy. They had bags full of clubs that maybe a guy had built, hit it once, didn't use it. They had a mini driver there from Dustin Johnson that he hit. They said he really liked it. He said it was a great club, but he just didn't have a spot in the bag for it, or a spot to hit it, here or anywhere else. So it just went on the truck. They had a putter that Colin Morikawa won with, one of his old spiders, but he won with it, and it was still just sitting there because he moved to something else. And they basically kept it for reference. So if he ever wants a new putter or whatever, they have one of his right there. They can make the specs exact and all that. So it was pretty cool to see. Like I said, I've been in that truck before, but it's always fun to go in there and see. A bunch of guys have lockers with hats and balls and tees in there that they can come get, and it's just it's pretty cool. And Wade is an awesome guy. I mean, he's really funny. He's super into just all this crazy golf stuff. He has his own collection of really custom shafts and ferrules and stuff like that he's kind of got over the past season, and he had a whole drawer on the truck of his kind of personal stuff, which was pretty cool. But yeah, I met some of the other reps who were kind of coming and going, from in and out of the truck, and it was pretty cool. And then a lot of the guys right after that took off. They were a lot of guys driving home, and a couple guys had a couple hour drives home. Myself and one member, Kurt, him and I, had flights that were later. My flight didn't leave till 5. His unfortunately didn't leave till 10, but I was his ride, so he was getting to the airport early. But him and I walked around East Lake. We went and got lunch. Had lunch on a patio, and then we walked around. We followed Tony Finau for a little bit. He was out there playing just kind of by himself and watching him hit some shots. And just as casual as a practice round seems to be. I mean, just hitting just amazing shots into these holes. But kind of followed him around for a little bit, and then had to head home. But it was a pretty cool trip. It was really fun. I was excited to be able to go and I guess in a quote unquote chaperone. But I mean, if you ever get a chance to go to Reynolds Lake and and do any type of TaylorMade fitting at that Kingdom, it is absolutely amazing. It's definitely worth it. It's a pretty awesome place. You will definitely be wowed by it. And the guys who are working there, because one of them was running TrackMan and having guys hit sim and 3 woods or sim 2 drivers and 3 woods and stuff like that. He had TrackMan out there. I mean, those guys are super good fitters. So if you ever get a chance, definitely check it out. It's pretty awesome. And like I said, the golf at Reynolds Lake, at least the one course I played was pretty awesome. The other courses that as you drive through the property and you see, looked just as good. So it's one of those places that I would love to go back, play some more golf, and really check out the rest of that course. So yeah, it was a good trip. We had fun. I didn't hit anything crazy new. I mean, I hit some different shafts and whatever, and in some of the clubs there, but everything out there right now is pretty much out. So I didn't hit anything crazy new. But next week, definitely have some new stuff to talk about. So I'm pretty excited to talk about what I've got next week. Like I said, I've got a little more. I want to get another little bit of more golf in on a couple things, and then I definitely have some stuff to talk about next week that I'm super excited about. So everybody have a good day. I know this episode might be a little short, but everybody have a good day. Enjoy the week. Have a good Labor Day weekend. Hopefully you get some time off, hang out with the family, relax a little bit, maybe play a little golf. That's what I'm going to be hopefully doing, and we'll talk next week. So see ya.